is we can literally drive from here to the house in less than 5 minutes. She should have been able to make it home. So that makes me feel like something else happened in that car.
Right.
Clearly something else happened. We know.
I mean, and she was found like literally right there, right here, so.
But there was still that time missing where this guy clearly did not take her to her house.
No.
It would not have been a long drive at all to get there. And
Well,
then on
what
top of that,
Could it have been he got her in the car saying, you know, just get in the car and warm up. While we
Right.
wait for your ride.
Right.
You know, and then took her, something like that.
the weird thing is though, is that there's only a 15-minute time span from when she was last seen to when Noel and Arthur were on campus here, and they got out of the car and they walked around looking for her, and there was nothing. And so they had just gone home, and then they came back, walked around, checked all the door, everything's locked.
But think about it. Think about the person. We're basing our timeline based on what one of the suspects said that he
Not
saw her.
suspects, the people, the girls, the people that were here.
But even Bonner said he saw her at a certain time.
Well, yeah, with the timeline.
Yeah.
But we know between 11 and 11:35, she was,
Seen
something happened between.
and then
that
not
time
there
frame.
anymore. And then as much time as they spent walking around looking at her, they left and drove around looking for her. And then even coming back, it's not like she was hiding anything. She was like right there on
Multiple
the curb.
people had driven by and not seen her body.
Many
but
people.
The police
I always-
said you would have seen her body clearly. And that one delivery driver, what did that knocks over?
I literally just heard it right here. I don't know what it is.
One delivery driver drove by at like 3:20, it was like the newspaper, didn't see her, and then all of a sudden at like 3:50, that's when her body was found by another delivery driver who just happened to catch her in the headlight while driving, because like I said, there are no lights out here, it's winter, you know it's still dark at that time,
Yeah.
right? But they said clearly that when they reconstructed, the body would have been clearly seen if driving by it would have caught a headlight. But at the same time, so now you have this other timeline between
Were there
3:30 and 4. No, her body was just right along.
Were there bushes there at the
I think
time?
there were bushes up in this area.
Because like in our family, we've always, and this is just family story, it's always been told that she was dumped and she crawled.
Yeah, well, we feel
And
like
so
that happened for sure.
That, like, that's why she wasn't seen for so long, was because
She
the
was
person
gone.
dumped her and she was still alive. So like when I hear desperate, my feeling is that she was desperate to be seen or desperate because
To
of
get
lack
someplace
of-
where she
yeah.
could get help.
Like she was desperate trying to get somewhere or breathe.
And we have always followed along that too. But the weird thing is, her scarf and her shoes were found.
The scarf was laid out like this, and the shoes were placed like this. And it's in the newspaper too. And
Very
her body
deliberately.
was found 150 feet north of that area. North of it. And because her head was found facing this direction.
Nobody just said,
crawling
oh, I
towards
don't want to be
us.
caught with her stuff and just tossed it. Somebody placed it, and like it was very deliberate. So it would make a really pretty
There
picture
wasn't a
for
lot
the
of blood on
police
it
reports
either.
or whatever.
I think there's maybe like 2 specks of blood droplets on it.
It was very deliberate.
Clean.
So that's why that we had talked about that possibly she was shot in the car or wherever she
And
was
then
taken
dumped
and
later.
all that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, she could have revived and crawled because they didn't find anything in the trees. They didn't find, the only time that they found one of the bullets is weeks later when they were cleaning the asphalt.
Yeah, they were doing street cleaning.
A street cleaner had found it. And we're like, after all of like the people walking, checking, looking, like you just found it? Cleaning the
Pristinely.
streets?
Was it windy?
And I mean,
It was
it was
December.
just weird that it was, I don't know, because the cops' theories was that she was shot near like a tree, because it would have echoed in this area, because reports came in
There's trees.
around the 11:15, 11:20 time frame is when there were reports that there were 2 shots that were heard. We know, looking at the, there were 4 bullets, and I think 3 impacted because they still had the slugs were in her when they found them, and 1 slug was missing, and that was the one that was found later by the asphalt machine, street cleaner or whatever, about 2.5 weeks later. I don't know. And then the family identified her home. There was a crack in the handle, and they had found it in the student lounge when the World Herald reporter came up here. And the World Herald reporter had found it in the chair in the student lounge, and the family identified that. But all the other evidence, the family did not identify as hers. They found a handbag, they found a wallet, they found this, and the family's like, none of this is her stuff. It was just stuff that was in this Elmwood area, because there was a dance that night also,
Right.
that a lot of everybody was going to.
The other thing we talked about is that she was writing her own biography.
Yeah, that's the
And
one
that's
book
missing.
that the family said, and that the only book of hers that's missing was the one that she was writing her own autobiography, because she had been applying for that scholarship to go to law school with. And that's the only book the family identified all of her books at home. She had all of her actual textbooks were in her bedroom at home. But the one book that they couldn't find was the one that she was writing about herself. And so that was another thing, is did she have that on her, and did the killer keep it?
You know what just comes to mind is there's something in that made her killer uncomfortable.
That's kind of what I was just thinking. I'm like, did they something
about
right?
him.
Is there something in
But it's
there?
not proper when she put it in there. That's
But
my,
see, and then I'm thinking in like. the
But why would
family.
you put that in a paper for a scholarship?
Who knows? I don't.
Uh-huh.
I mean, but if she
It
was
was rough draft.
if it was
Yeah.
a rough draft, or if it was something
Just
where
notes.
more, if it was her biography was
Diary.
turning into more of a journal or something. I mean,
Yeah.
then it's like, what was in that biography? Like that's just. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what that makes me think of.
And
What
what's in
was-
there about the family?
Exactly, and that's,
You
like,
don't want
honestly,
people to
like, I would
see.
never wanna go there with my family, but I don't doubt shady shit that happened, so like, I mean, I would never say necessarily that Arthur did it, but it just always makes me curious, like,
Well, it's almost like
Because,
Arthur has
like,
like an alibi.
is
about
there
it.
something in there that the family wanted to shut down?
What's weird
Wow.
though is that,
Really?
that Arthur's alibi would have been Noel, because the family was all together that night, and when
They
he
were
left, Noel was with him, and they drove in from the south side, not this side. The body was found when the delivery person was driving north to south on this road. Noel and Arthur came from the south through the Elmwood Park area up this way.
They just never came down far enough to
They
be able
didn't
to see
come,
her?
well, no, they would have, because they would have turned this way to go back home.
Okay, yeah.
But her
They were
body
on
was
the other
found
side
on
of the
this
street.
side. They were
Yeah.
on the other side of the street driving. They weren't on this side,
And
which is where she was
and you're
then
assuming
found.
we have the same headlights we had back then,
Exactly.
you know what I mean, so there's
Yeah.
lots of things, but I mean, I
And
don't
maybe
wanna
the
say
delivery
that.
truck found
they
it because
didn't
it was
say-
higher and the headlights were aiming differently than a car would.
Right.
well,
It's
and
been
something else
interesting.
along that same line of thinking, if there was something in there that made the killer question, would just keep in mind
Uncomfortable.
that what if it was never found, what if the person needed to disappear because they didn't want it.
Right.
Right, because it's about the time frame between them, 4:10 in the morning, police are here, they're closing off the area, they're starting to just wait, get the autopsy, do whatever. You're not questioning, the family called it in, you're not questioning them quite yet, you're not looking at the household. You're not that's not what you're looking
You're
at
just
the
gathering
crime
evidence
scene.
right now.
So you have time between the crime scene and investigating the crime scene and interviewing people on campus and doing lie detection tests and yada yada. You're doing that here. You might be meeting with the family, but you're not going through
I
the
mean-
veins yet.
Why would,
If something
Hate to
was
say
written in
that.
a biography, like to me again, I go back to the professor, because it's like if something was written in that biography about a relationship between her and a professor, that would cost him his tenure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
An
all that
improper
kind of, and that
relationship.
stuff. And then you have a broken comb that's in the student center. To me, was that left in
And
his,
it was weird because it
was
was
that
like
left in his
the-
office and
the
and
seat.
someone went and he tucked it somewhere else so that it was gone and not in his.
It's weird too that it was found by the newspaper person that was writing the article too.
Yeah, I
And then
mean-
the family identified it.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of unknowns that will forever be. And I don't know, I mean, it's neat to interact with her, but I wouldn't, I guess, finding the killer is not.
I feel like we all know that we're probably not going to.
I mean, we can all have the theories and thoughts and all that kind of stuff, but,
There's like 5 different theories out there, so yeah.
I mean, like I said, my grandma was the professor, he was always a professor. And he came to the funeral, and she hated it.
And we have a lot of people at the funeral.
Yeah.
Why, what made her so uncomfortable about this
I
professor?
think, I feel like your mom said that he had come to the house after the funeral.
For like
Two.
the reception or the
Yeah.
luncheon or whatever afterwards.
Yeah, and
And she was,
felt uncomfortable.
she did not like it.
Like bad vibes?
I don't know if Ray Hope has emotions that would feel that kind of stuff.
But she already just decided.
Or, yeah, I mean,
Or that it's just improper that he be there, this is
Right.
family time and why are you here? And
it could have been, but like, my mom said that it's always been known to in our family, it was a professor. 'Cause
Well-
that's the only one she would have maybe gotten to a car with, is kind of the theory is. Because back then, it would not have been safe to get.
But you're going on what Ray Hope thought and her opinion, I mean, like, the only thing you know about the story is one person's opinion of it.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, because my dad would have been 9, it happened in 52.
Yeah.
So he would have been 9, and he's dead, and when he talked about it every once in a while, but not more than just, yeah, my cousin Carolyn's an unsolved murder in Omaha,
Yeah.
kind of thing, like it was.
Are any of those other cousins still around?
Ron's the only one.
Are you close with him? Have you ever talked with him about
We
stuff?
talked about it one time at Thanksgiving, the last time, like one of the times I met with you guys or something. And he and Donna, his wife, were intrigued, but they live in Wisconsin and.
Just curious.
They're kind of that same thing, not till Grandma Ray Hope dies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't think you guys understand the
Oh, I
process
do
of the
too.
family. Like, I have not quit a church yet until Grandma Ray Hope dies. And then I'll quit the church and I'll move on to a different one.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
She's so, wow.
Like, this is not a family that you, like, she hasn't talked to me for 3 years because she thought I stole my dad's ashes. They were at the funeral.
I say, was your dad cremated then, correct? Because we got the word cremated came up
Cremated
also,
came
and
up.
the art book thing came up
Yeah.
too. Cremated and funeral.
Yeah. But
Why are these ashes so important to her? Are they missing?
she has them now.
So is
But
she
then
still
she
mad at you?
Okay, so let's paint the big picture of how this family works. I picked up half the ashes, or my sister picked up half the ashes,
Yeah.
and we took them up to my dad's favorite fishing lake and dumped them in his favorite fishing lake. Grandma wanted to have half the ashes for her, so she could do what she wanted with them,
Fair
which was
enough.
be buried or whatever. Great, no problem. I told her they were there. My Aunt Polly never picked them up. Finally, the guy that owned the owned the funeral home called and said, "Hey, I'm retiring. Your dad's ashes are still here. Do you want to get them?" And I said, "Well, shit, I thought those had been picked up a while ago." So I messaged them and said, "Hey, dad's ashes are still there. Does someone want to go get them?" Polly, my aunt, who lives with my grandma, went to go pick up the ashes. The lady's like, "No, the ashes have been picked up." And it was my sister's signature from the time that we picked up our half. Said
Oh,
the ashes are gone.
so it was a
Instead of-
miscommunication.
Instead of messaging me, instead of texting me, instead of calling me, instead of saying, "Hey, Erin, you're saying your dad's ashes aren't here and that you've picked up all of them," nothing.
Oh, wow.
she just
Nothing.
shut you down.
You just, nothing.
Just assumed.
Didn't talk to me for years. Like,
Because you lied, and why would I want
Yeah.
to talk to you? Because I don't talk to liars.
exactly, or whatever it is, and didn't talk to me because I stole my dad's ashes. It literally took me one phone call. The person that they'd seen that there was a signature on the paper, so they didn't look. Didn't realize that the ashes had been split in half, and there was another half of them.
Oh,
So for 3 years, she didn't talk to me. It was my
Gotcha.
dad's ashes. So that's that family. Like,
wow.
if it is uncomfortable, we're not going there.
7?
Yeah.
So easily solved.
Right, exactly, like I found out through, now this is what's sad, so my nephew that died this spring, my grandma or my Aunt Polly had talked to my sister in Cleveland while talking about them, had let them know that the ashes were missing or that Erin and Jen had taken all the ashes. And Megan then called my mom and said, did they take all the ashes? And Mom's like, no, they never picked them up or whatever. We think they picked them up. And that's how it got. So it had to come all the way back that
Wow.
way to me.
Yeah.
And I was livid. And so we called the funeral home. No, they're still there.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
So
Wow.
I'm like, so that's that family. Like,
Yeah.
if it is uncomfortable, if it was not proper or seen as done appropriately, you didn't do it.
We don't question it. We're not going to give you a chance to explain
Nope.
yourself. If this is what I think, then this is the way it must be, and that's just it.
Right.
Boom, and
Well,
close
and
the
I
book.
think because my grandma doesn't deal with emotions well, then, just neither does my Polly. And so it's, my grandma apparently starts breaking down and crying every time she hears it all, like every time they try and talk about like my dad's death or what they wanted to do, because I was like, what do you want to do for the headstone? What do you want, like,
Making decisions and
yeah,
things
and
like
so,
that.
and because I was trying to make decisions, then I got shunned even more. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Wow.
family drama. It's sad, but it's just, it is, you know.
See, you make it sound like you're scaring us, and I could tell you things in my family that.
Oh, this isn't even remotely, this is just sort of a meh, you know. I mean, to me, it's sad because my grandma, I hope, is a very strong, amazing woman. Done.
I can tell that you adore her. I mean, like, you
Yeah.
think the world of her.
Yeah.
So it's
She
just
does
like,
amazing
I don't
things.
deserve what you did, and why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, so that's why when you talk about CAROLYN, if Grandma connected with CAROLYN was probably very similar in that personality. Like my grandma went into financial ruin to look like they still were put together. Like she would not shop at Walmart, she would not be budgeting at Walmart
Right.
buying clothes.
Wow.
She would shop
Walmart.
at Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. And always.
You
put
will
together.
never-
We were in the bathroom earlier, so I was talking about the skirt, and if anything had ever happened to Carolyn, it would be more important the way that she looked than what had actually happened
Yes.
to her. That's what we were
There's
talking about
actually
earlier.
one where Karen was channeling her,
That's
and
what
she
I'm
was
saying.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that would very much be that.
Oh, my skirt, my
family.
skirt. And
You
I'm
know what's
like,
weird? You got,
and
spirit box from you and Karen's session had like barefoot. It said barefoot, and I was just like,
Uh-huh.
she didn't have shoes
She-
on.
yeah, her
so,
shoes and
yeah,
scarf are now.
feet were bare.
And yeah, she would have been cold.
And her legs with having gravel in them, you know her skirt was disheveled. Because when they
Yeah.
took evidence, they pulled it from
Fibers,
it was
So-
in-
fibers
So
from her
that's the
skin.
thing, if you don't get gravel in your knee, just. If
From
you have
falling.
clothing on, you're not gonna
being
have
dumped
gravel
out in the
under.
car, you get gravel in your skin from being pushed
Dragged
or
or-
dragged or something. So that's,
Yeah.
that way, I just, in our family, it's always just been that she was somehow behind some bushes or behind something, and that's where she was left to die. And
We
she
get
woke
a
up and found
lot.
out.
Which is like that bush area that you took me to out on this way. Because imagine this land just being flat right now.
Right.
This would have been slightly sloped, but all this was flat.
You just watched all those
Wasn't here.
videos. How many times did it say, he found me, I found her?
Yeah, that a lot.
Like she
We're getting the
was, she
killer
was,
talking to us now.
she was running from some, yeah, he comes through
And
sometimes
chased
too.
me.
He chased me, I'm taken. He found me, he found me, I found her.
I mean, so again, it's the.
I think she tried to get away from him at some point, and I think she tried to get away and like something happened.
But was it
She put
also-
up a fight.
What also was it a relationship and she's like, I'm taken, go away. And then
Right.
it keeps
Well,
pursuing
because
her in
that was
that
actually, I
relationship.
found that note,
We-
that there was a confrontation between, I don't know who brought it up, but I wrote it down. Somebody was discussing that there was a confrontation between the boyfriend and a professor. Because she did have a boyfriend, and they were going steady for quite a long time, since like high school. And so they had started dating. He went to Benson, she went to Central. And he actually ended up being very successful, and he got married though like a year after all of this. He got married, moved to Iowa, started his own company, whatnot. Now lives in Colorado with his wife, and whatnot, but I remember because the boyfriend wasn't even considered a suspect, he was not here, he went to college in Ames, he didn't even go here.
Yeah.
So they had met through
That was, we were talking about
somebody,
that. in that-
yeah, I wrote it down
Yeah.
years ago in my handwritten notes, so. But I mean, it's just, yeah, she's already taken and this guy, the professor's trying to pursue her and no offense, but Dr. Bonner, like I said, he was good looking, he was about 32.
Well, if he was helping me write this paper for, you know,
Well, the fact that she worked for him.
Oh, you want me to write to a
Finally.
reference? What's in it for me?
yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I
Like,
still
it's
think
just
someone
interesting.
tried to put the moves on her, and she was like, no.
See, and that's what I would figure, because they're just strong, like, they're just strong-willed.
Well, and for
One
me,
of the
for being
things that
such a
came
good
up-
tall woman, I mean, like, she was,
One of the things came up when I was doing this with Karen one time, was that, or who, was I with you and Karen? And we said something about, boy, I have a feeling that you fought back, didn't you? And she was just like, yeah, and I'm like, boy, I hope when you went down, you got a piece of them, and thank you.
well, and.
It was just like, it's like, girl, you go, girl. I mean, it's like, boy, I hope if you went down, you kicked him down. Like, at least, I hope you got a chunk. And yeah, then it was a very distinct, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I did.
Couldn't fight
It's like,
him.
good on you. Good on you. I'm glad you kicked his ass back. At least you went down fighting. You didn't take it. You didn't
I mean,
just
we
go
know
down.
that based off of, in general, just like the bruising and everything else. And the weird thing, the hair that they found it in her mouth.
Oh, she got a piece of something.
They found the hair in her mouth.
See, and that doesn't really, because to me, that'd be just like, was that from the coroner doing it and not wearing a cap or something?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they're just
Yeah,
so.
it's not like they were
It's
that
not like
great
now.
at autopsy.
Yeah, like, it's not like now. I mean, I think that's something we always have to be careful of. is
Well, I
like,
know
yeah,
it's not like now because did you tell her about, they had like the Boy Scouts out there looking for
Yeah.
evidence?
Oh, my God.
How Keystone Cops is that?
Right. I mean,
Back in the day, I mean,
They would take any, they were,
they were
sure.
checking the trees to see if the trees
Short
caught
staffed.
anything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think it's such an interesting story, but I don't know. I mean, my biggest thing for her is I hope she's
She's at peace.
or, you know, I mean, having
She's
fun. You know, having fun or doing whatever it is that spirits do on the other side to, you know.
I will tell you that when we had that meeting and Randy was channeling her, did Ashley show you that video?
I sent you like a clip
I
from
think
it.
so.
if you-
Yeah, I just posted it on my YouTube page, like the full
Yeah, I've seen
thing.
that.
I posted them last night.
Oh, okay.
And it took like 7 hours for it to load the first one, because they're huge files, just because however I recorded it. The first one's like an hour and 5 minutes, and the second one's like a half an hour. So there's like an hour and a half of me talking
On the leader's page or your?
on the leader's
Okay.
page that I just put with all the videos, just because I found them in my files. So I'm going through Ashley, if you want to send her the link to it,
Yeah, I'll
feel
send it
free
to you.
to
I'll
go
do it
through
right
and watch
now.
any of this.
And then if you want to watch any of them, it's kind of like investigations, like from years ago up to like some of our most recent.
I've only put up the recent ones, but I'm gonna start putting up more up as I get them
And I
done.
haven't done
But Randy,
everything with all of mine.
Randy was going through and Randy was telling me things about me, like you. He wants to know why. She wants to know why. She wants to know, well, why do you care? And I'm like, what do you mean, why do I care? And I just kept on like, what do you mean? And he's like, hold on for a second. She wants me to tell you that when you talk to him, you need to speak softly. You need to know he's not a little boy and don't speak softly. And at the time, there was like a lot of turmoil going on. She was like telling me personal things that I hadn't told anybody in the group, that it was just like, that's weird. And then he was giving me messages like from I know he's the real deal. I mean, I know that some of that stuff that came through, that was like legit. So yeah, she's very intuitive. She knows what's going on.
She's keeping up with the times. And not stuck in the 50s.
She very much follows us personally.
Yeah.
There's this one thing where I went through, and as I'm listening to the spirit box and like making a list of all the things that the box is saying, I'm like, these all apply to me. Oh my God, she said my name. My name came through, and then it said all these things, and I'm like, and then it was just one of those things where I turned around and it was like, wait a minute, I'm trying to help you work on your case. Are you trying to give me messages to help me? You're trying to help me. You're trying to tell me things. Wow, and I got the chills, and I was shaking for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I just had to put everything away for a minute. And it was like, part of me is like, okay, this is too freaky, I gotta stop. And part of me is like, me not looking at it's not gonna change the fact that it is. I would rather know the information, but it just freaked me out for a second.
Seven. Russian. So. And 20 stop. Flat out. Yeah. We are. Bless. Lighted. Report.